I like drawing boats, so I'm back again at the Toronto Waterfront. This is actually the same tugboat that was in a previous video, just from a different vantage point. So this is the very start, how I start all drawings. I pick a basic unit, so this is a distance in the subject that I'm sketching, and I use it to measure other pieces of the drawing, and most importantly, I use it to measure out the composition on the page, so I know where things are going to fit, and I sort of plan out the drawing ahead of time. So that's step one with the pencil work, and then I go in after and pick out some of the finer details with the pen. So this I did all on site, actually before work, and so I had some limited time, so I just got the lines down, and I'm at home now to do the first wash of paint. And so starting with the lightest colors first, I decided to start with the sails, pick a nice light beige, and work through the drawing, kind of laying out the lightest tones first. And I deviate a little. I wanted to pick out some of the details in the sail. So that's what I'm doing here, adding a bit of tone to it, and then starting to roughen the sky. And trying to keep it simple. I want to use as limited a palette as I can while I'm, finding my feet with watercolors. And laying in the first of the water, making sure to leave some whites for the highlights. And then just a very quick wash with a muted green. And lastly, I block in the tugboat. So that was it for the initial wash. And the next day, actually, I then go in and pick out some of the lines that I want to pop off the page. I find after the first wash, the drawing can be quite muddy, and so I like this phase of going in and making everything crisp again. And I find it informs how we'll do the next wash of color. And I do enjoy drawing all the bits and pieces of technical things like that. I find it makes an interesting drawing, which is maybe why I like drawing boats and tugboats and machinery and things. And now I'm starting on the next stage of washes, a nice deep shadow right next to the tugboat in the water. And I was quite happy with how the water turns out in this. I kind of went through in that side-to-side motion, making sure to leave lots of the light layer or even white showing through for the highlights, and making sure to have a mixture of the shadow of the boats, but also the blue of the sky. And I think the water was one of the elements I was more happy with in this. And I even added some reflected shadow or light reflecting red of the tugboat. And just continuing to build up the drawing now, adding some shadows from the sails. The morning had really nice light. It was very clear, very crisp, had lots of dramatic shadows. So it made it easier to block out the light in this drawing. And in this part, I'm trying to work through that background, adding a bunch of visual interest without getting into the, drawing every single boat. And I really like the patina on the tugboat. There was all kinds of paint below the black blue that it currently is that you could see poking through. So I tried to capture some of that. and I wanted a much richer red than I'd initially put in. I'm working from a reference image to do the painting. That's why you can sort of see my face occasionally looking up. And around this point, I was realizing that I didn't know where to put more paint, so I, kind of put my brushes away, decided to pick out a few more lines with the Micron pens, but I'm really near the final stages of this sketch. And one of my favorite parts, using the whiteout pen, some final highlights and details. And this sketch is near complete. And the final step, I decided to try to experiment a little with the texture of flicking a bit of paint to add some texture. So that was my final step in this sketch. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for tuning in.